Have you ever wondered what happens when worlds collide in the most unexpected way? Picture this: a bustling luxury hotel in the heart of Paris, where the elite rub shoulders with the unseen workers who keep the glamour alive. That's where our story begins, with a young woman named Aisha, a black hotel maid from a small village in Senegal, who had immigrated to France years ago seeking a better life. She scrubbed floors, changed sheets, and dusted chandeliers day in and day out, her dreams tucked away like forgotten luggage in a storage room. But Aisha had a secret weapon, her fluency in French, honed from childhood stories told by her grandmother, who once worked as a translator. One fateful afternoon, as she was tidying up Suite 1501, the door swung open, and in walked Marcus Beaumont, a billionaire tech mogul known for his ruthless business deals and impenetrable demeanor. He was on the phone, barking orders in broken French to a local supplier, frustration etched on his face like cracks in fine porcelain. Aisha, without thinking, paused her work and gently corrected his pronunciation, offering a polite suggestion, in flawless French that made the conversation flow smoothly. Marcus hung up, stunned, his eyes widening as he turned to this unassuming maid who had just saved him from an embarrassing mishap. "How did you know that?" he asked, his voice a mix of curiosity and admiration. Aisha smiled shyly, explaining her background, and before she knew it, they were chatting about the nuances of the language, Paris's hidden gems, and even her aspirations to one day open a small cafe serving Senegalese cuisine fused with French flavors. Marcus, usually guarded, found himself opening up about his lonely climbs to success, the isolation that came with his fortune. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden hues through the floor-to-ceiling windows, he invited her to meet him later, that evening at a nearby bistro, not as a maid but as an equal, someone whose words had pierced his armored world. Aisha hesitated, her heart pounding like a drum in a festival, but the spark in his eyes convinced her this was no ordinary invitation. Little did she know, this chance encounter was about to unravel a tapestry of emotions, opportunities, and challenges that would test the boundaries of class, culture, and connection. The hotel lobby buzzed with oblivious guests as Aisha clocked out, her uniform swapped for a simple dress, nerves tingling with anticipation. Marcus arrived in a sleek black car, stepping out with a bouquet of wildflowers, a gesture that spoke volumes about his hidden romantic side. Over escargot and wine, they delved deeper, Aisha sharing tales of her village life, the vibrant markets, the struggles of immigration, and how speaking French had been her bridge to belonging. Marcus listened intently, his laughter genuine for the first time in years, confessing how his billions couldn't buy the authenticity she exuded. As the night wore on, he revealed his latest venture, a global app connecting language learners with native speakers, and he saw in Aisha the perfect ambassador. "Join me," he said, his hand brushing hers. "Let's make this more than a meeting." But doubts crept in for Aisha. Was this real or just a billionaire's whim? The city lights twinkled like stars as they strolled along the Seine, conversations flowing like the river itself, weaving dreams into reality. Marcus shared his backstory, orphaned young, building an empire from scraps, always chasing more but feeling empty. Aisha's empathy shone through, her words in French soothing like a lullaby, reminding him of humanity's simple joys. By dawn, as they parted with a promise to meet again, Aisha felt a whirlwind of hope and fear, wondering if this was the start of something transformative or a fleeting fairy tale. The days that followed blurred into a montage of stolen moments. Secret lunches in quaint cafes, where Marcus taught her about venture capital, and she introduced him to jollof rice recipes passed down generations. Rumors swirled in the hotel corridors, colleagues whispering about the maid who caught the billionaire's eye, some envious, others supportive. Aisha's family back home called, excited yet cautious, warning her of the world's inequalities. Yet, with each interaction, barriers crumbled. Marcus funding her language classes, Aisha inspiring his philanthropy towards immigrant communities. One evening, under the Eiffel Tower's glow, he confessed his growing affection, words tumbling out, in imperfect French that made her giggle. "You spoke to me in a language I needed to hear," he said, pulling her close. But shadows loomed. Paparazzi snaps, judgmental board members, and Aisha's own insecurities about fitting into his world. Through it all, their bond strengthened, a testament to how a single act of kindness, wrapped in fluent words, could bridge vast divides. As weeks turned to months, Aisha blossomed, enrolling in business courses, her cafe dream inching closer with Marcus's mentorship. They traveled together to Senegal, where he experienced her culture firsthand, dancing to rhythmic beats and tasting spicy stews that warmed his soul. Back in Paris, challenges arose, a tabloid scandal painting Aisha as a gold digger, testing their trust. But they weathered it, her French eloquence defending their story in interviews, turning skeptics into admirers. Marcus proposed a partnership, not just in business but in life, sealing it with a ring that symbolized unity. Aisha accepted, her journey from Maid to mogul's muse inspiring countless others. Their story became a beacon, proving that language, spoken from the heart, can unlock doors to unimaginable futures. And so, in the quiet moments as they watched sunsets from penthouse views, Aisha reflected on that first correction, how it sparked a revolution in two lives intertwined forever. As the invitation hung in the air like a promise waiting to be fulfilled, Aisha found herself stepping into a world she had only glimpsed through hotel windows. The bistro was intimate, candles flickering like fireflies, and Marcus was already there, his usual suit traded for casual attire that made him seem approachable, human. They talked for hours, her French weaving tales of resilience. Growing up in Dakar, the bustling streets filled with vendors hawking colorful fabrics and aromatic spices, the hardships that forged her unyielding spirit. Marcus, in turn, opened up about his empire, the late nights coding in a garage, the betrayals in boardrooms, the void that no amount of wealth could fill. "Your words that day," he admitted, "they weren't just French, they were a reminder of connection in a disconnected world." Aisha blushed, her dark skin glowing under the soft light, feeling seen for the first time beyond her uniform. The invitation evolved into more meetings, walks in Luxembourg gardens where leaves crunched underfoot and laughter echoed, discussions on literature from Victor Hugo to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Marcus surprised her with tickets to a French opera where the melodies mirrored their budding romance, notes rising and falling like their emotions. But not all was smooth. Aisha's co-workers teased her relentlessly, one even warning, "Billionaires don't marry maids, they collect them like souvenirs." Doubt seeded in her mind, but Marcus's sincerity uprooted it, gifting her a notebook to jot down her cafe ideas, encouraging her to dream big. Their conversations delved into philosophy, how language shapes identity, how her bilingualism was a superpower in a monolingual elite circle. One rainy afternoon, sheltered in a cafe, he shared his vulnerability, a failed marriage to a socialite who valued his status over his soul. Aisha empathized, recounting her own heartbreaks, migrations that tore families apart. Their hands intertwined naturally, a silent vow forming. Soon the invitation extended to his inner circle, a gala where Aisha, in a borrowed gown, navigated. Champagne flutes and small talk, her French impressing diplomats and CEOs alike. Marcus beamed with pride, introducing her as the woman who taught me to listen. Whispers followed, but she held her head high, her heritage a crown. As nights turned intimate, sharing secrets under starlit skies, Aisha realized this was no Fairy tale, but a real, messy love story. Challenges mounted, his ex stirring drama, media hounds sniffing for scandal, Aisha's visa issues threatening deportation. Yet they fought together, Marcus hiring lawyers, Aisha's wit turning tides in. Tense meetings. Their bond deepened through travels, to the French Riviera, where waves crashed like applause, and Senegal's beaches, where family embraced him with open arms. Aisha's mother approved, saying in Wolof translated to French, "He sees your light." Back home, they launched a pilot for his app, Aisha as the Face, her story viral, inspiring immigrants worldwide. Success brought jealousy. A rival tycoon tried sabotage, but their unity prevailed. In quiet moments, Marcus proposed, not with fanfare but sincerity, "Meet me in forever." Aisha said yes, her French oui sealing fates. Their wedding blended. Cultures, French elegance with African vibrancy, guests toasting to unlikely loves. Post-honeymoon, Aisha's cafe opened, a hit blending flavors symbolizing their fusion. Years later, with children speaking multiple tongues, they reflected on that hotel room spark, how one language bridged hearts. With the meeting evolving into a lifelong partnership, Aisha and Marcus navigated the highs and lows of their extraordinary union, each day a new chapter in a book written by fate's whimsical hand. The initial invitation had blossomed into cohabitation in Marcus's sprawling Parisian apartment, where Aisha's touches, vibrant African art, spices scenting the air, transformed it from a sterile showcase to a warm home. Mornings began with coffee and conversations in French, debating world news or planning charitable events for underprivileged youth. Aisha enrolled in culinary school, her skills sharpening under renowned chefs, while Marcus mentored her in business. Acumen, their synergy unstoppable. But storms brewed. Tabloids labeled her an opportunist, the maid who made it, headlines stinging like salt in wounds. Social media trolls attacked her race, culture, forcing Aisha to confront prejudices head-on, her eloquent responses in French interviews garnering support. Marcus stood by her, publicly denouncing bigotry, his influence amplifying her voice. Together, they founded a foundation aiding immigrant women, Aisha's passion project funded by his resources, impacting lives from Paris to Dakar. Travels became adventures, skiing in the Alps, where snowflakes danced like confetti, and safaris in Africa, where wildlife mirrored their wild journey. Intimacy grew, nights filled with whispered dreams, bodies entwined in passion born of mutual respect. Children arrived, twins with curly hair and bilingual babble, filling their home with joy. Challenges persisted, business rivals plotting takeovers. Family feuds over inheritance, but their French-spoken vows held firm. Aisha's cafe chain expanded globally, her recipes bestsellers, while Marcus's app revolutionized education, crediting her inspiration. Anniversaries celebrated that first encounter, toasting with French wine to the maid who spoke truth to power. As years passed, gray hairs and wrinkles etched stories on their faces. But love remained youthful. Grandchildren listened wide-eyed to tales of how Grandma's French charmed Grandpa, lessons in perseverance embedded. In retirement, they wandered cobblestone streets, hands linked, reflecting on invitations that changed destinies. Aisha wrote a memoir, Words Across Worlds, a bestseller translated into dozens of languages, inspiring generations. Marcus, ever the supporter, beamed at book signings, his pride evident. Their legacy, scholarships, community centers, a world slightly kinder. In twilight years, as they sat on a bench overlooking the Seine, Aisha murmured in French, "It all started with a simple bonjour." Marcus kissed her, replying, "And it ends with eternal amour." Their story, a testament to crossing divides, echoed eternally. In the grand tapestry of their lives, the invitation that began as a curious gesture wove into an epic saga of love, growth, and legacy, proving that sometimes a single phrase can alter trajectories forever. Aisha and Marcus's union faced ultimate tests. Health scares, where Aisha nursed him through surgery with French lullabies and economic downturns threatening their empire. But resilience prevailed. Their children grew into trailblazers, a daughter leading the foundation, a son innovating tech with cultural sensitivity. Holidays blended traditions, Christmas with Senegalese feasts, Eid with French pastries, creating a family mosaic rich in diversity. Aisha's influence extended to politics, advising on immigration reforms, her voice resonant in halls of power. Marcus, softened by love, divested from unethical ventures, focusing on sustainable tech. Scandals resurfaced occasionally, old flames stirring pots, but transparency and trust extinguished flames. Philanthropy became their passion, building schools in Africa, language centers in Europe impacting millions. As elders, they mentored young couples, sharing wisdom, speak your truth in any language. Memoirs turned into films, Aisha portrayed as the heroine she was. Box office hits celebrating underrepresented stories. Grandchildren's laughter filled their villa, stories retold around firesides. In final days, as Marcus faded, Aisha held his hand, whispering in French the words that started it all. "Bonjour, monsieur." He smiled. "Au revoir, mon amour." After his passing, Aisha continued their work, her spirit unbroken, inspiring a foundation that outlived them. Statues in parks honored their love, inscriptions in French. From Maid to Muse, words bridge worlds. Her own twilight came peacefully, surrounded by family, dreams fulfilled. Their graves side by side, epitaphs reading, "United by language, bound by heart." The world remembered them not as billionaire and maid, but as equals who dared to meet. Beyond boundaries, a story eternally engaging, hooking hearts across generations.